I'd just like to acknowledge my fellow council members here. Today I see Helena Conants, Councillor Helena Conants. I see Campbell Watt, and I'm sure that while the others are busy doing what they do in their regular lives. I'd like to say that I've prepared a short speech, but in the words of Winston Churchill, you know, I'm going to make a long speech because I didn't have time to prepare a short one. Short speeches take a lot of figuring out sometimes because you want to get the message in there, and there's a lot of messages here today, so if I ramble on a little bit, I apologize in advance. It's not going to be so much a speech, more a bit of a conversation about what's going on in the city anyway, and we've got a lot to discuss. So yes, I'd like to again thank the Dean and Dr. Fastener for recognising the gathering is taking place on the traditional unceded territory of the Silk people. And that's something that we don't just say at the start of every speech without meaning it. For us at the city, truth and reconciliation and rebuilding relationships with the Penticton Indian Band is something that we do every day. It's part of our everyday operation. Improving the relationship with our neighbours, with Penticton Indian Band, is fundamental for the growth and advancement of both communities. And so we look forward to walking side by side with them on a path of reconciliation and turning it into a path of reconciliation. In the last election, the community sent a strong message to everybody that ran, and that message was one that was heard loud and clear by this council. Residents felt like the community was changing, the dynamic was shifting away from being a vibrant, secure and affordable place to live, and they wanted change. They wanted action, and as a council, we're here to do that. We are determined to carry out that action and make those changes that everybody expects to see from us. That work began in November, and last week we introduced the council priorities, and this was after a lengthy period of orientation, strategic planning, before we go into the budgetary process, and we'll be talking about that later. But our goals, the council goals for Penticton for this term are to make Penticton a safe and resilient community, a livable and accessible community, a vibrant and connected community, and do that with organisational excellence. They're labelled council priorities, but really they're everybody's priorities. I firmly believe that if we had all the residents of Penticton attend the orientation and strategic planning that we have just gone through as a council, that those goals would be exactly the same as what we have out of the council strategic planning. Because this is a diverse council, diverse in demographics, diverse in experience, and I think it's representative of the community at large. There's no one section of the community that's overrepresented or underrepresented on this council. So I believe that this is a very balanced strategic plan, and hopefully it'll be a balanced governance over the next 4 years. So we listened to your feedback, and now we want to move into the action phase. And one issue that's been dominant for the past several years is community safety. In the past, council has made investments. We've increased the number of RCMP officers, we've increased the number of bylaw officers, increased the number of firefighters. We've increased the budgets for those departments by as much as 50% over the past 5 or 6 years. And that's not enough. Clearly it's not enough. And so, realizing that, we commissioned a community safety review. And as some of you may have seen, if I know you all watch the council meetings all the time and pay absolute attention to every presentation that's made, and like us, you absorb the 200 pages of the community safety report and the 100 recommendations that were in it. But after that, we now have an extensive list of priorities to deliver. And like I say, there's about 100 recommendations on the list, and we are working our way through that list, and we're going to start on the big ticket items to effect the maximum amount of change that we can over this year. Some of the changes that have been requested or suggested and requested, the RCMP are seeking an extra 2 officers to focus on proactive policing and to further restorative justice in their programs. The Penticton Fire Department have approval to add 4 firefighters to meet the industry standard of 4 personnel per fire engine, and are taking steps to increase the medical response training for firefighters. Bylaw services are proposing to introduce new bylaws that will provide them with more authority to address inappropriate use of public spaces when efforts at intervention and connection to support services fail. There'll be more about that in the coming weeks. Community safety officers are also planning to implement hotspot targeted patrols that will see a focus on locations of high call volumes. The city will also more strongly advocate for assistance from the province, beginning with the CAR 40 program and the need for more funding for emergency health services. And there will be a new organisational working group to make sure that all of this gets done. It might not sound that exciting, but by bringing the people on the front lines together, I think we can achieve our goals. Our job primarily is to organise the services that are here and already working in the city. We have control over emergency services, and we are restructuring the management of that. But the non-profit sector, there's a lot of non-profit workers out there. There's a lot of non-profit associations out there, and they're all doing great work. But the coordination, we need to ensure that the coordination is highly efficient, so that there's not so much of a duplication of services, and that there are no gaps for people to fall through. Another part of the problem is housing. I don't know how many know, but we have 520 residential units under construction right now. There's over 1,000 residential units that are approved, and about another 650 units in the planning stages. So there is quite a bit of growth going on, but the demand is high. The demand for growth is very high. And we need to do more. We need to be creative. And we've got certain restraints. We've got geographical restraints. We've got ALR restraints as to how we can grow. So we've appointed a task force to review the official community plan and specifically housing density. We're also looking at ways to potentially leverage city land for workforce housing or some form of housing, whatever that may be. And those reports are coming in the next few weeks, and so there'll be more to talk about in the coming weeks on those items. At this point, I just want to give a plug about our open house tomorrow. We're doing an open house tomorrow at PTCC, and it's where council members will be there, staff will be there, and you can go there and you can talk to staff and council members about any of these individual items, any of these individual issues, subjects that you want to address. So, please come along to PTCC tomorrow, 4 till 7, and and then we can chat in detail about some of the individual issues that I'm talking about now. Getting back to housing, we've committed money in this budget for attainable and affordable housing. And that's the key. We need to work together to build a breadth of homes. We need supportive housing for seniors. We need homes for those that are working and living paycheck to paycheck. We need homes for those looking to expand their families and those looking to downsize. A healthy society is where you have a really good mixture of housing. It's not focused on one type of housing. The demands obviously are from the population growth, and we all come across the folks that say, we don't want any change. We like Penticton the way it was in the 70s, and that's great. But the population of Penticton in the 70s was half of what it is now. The population of BC was half of what it is now, and actually the global population was half of what it is now. So Penticton moves with global demographics. It moves with BC demographics, and as the world population keeps growing and BC population keeps growing, so will Penticton's, one way or another. So we need to get it right for housing. Housing is the one thing you need to get absolutely right, because it takes so long to put, if you make a mistake, it takes so long to put right. So, where do we go? As Mark Twain said, the secret of making progress is to get started. And so on housing, we're getting started. And now I want to talk a little bit about vibrancy. Vibrancy is a difficult thing to really nail down. It's because it's something that you feel. It's not really, it's tangible to a certain extent, but you know it when you feel it. And we all felt it last summer when things were returning back to normal, and and there was a buzz in the city. Things were feeling pretty good. There was energy, excitement, and we want to build on that. We want to build on that vibrancy. That's what brings people back to Penticton year after year. And so we're focusing on promoting those events that are annual events that bring people back to Penticton year after year. That's where I think we get the biggest bang for our buck. That's where we can show off Penticton for what it can be to the maximum amount of people with the maximum benefit. And vibrancy is about having a great city to live in. And economic development, in my opinion, is about having a great place to live. If people want to live here, they will live here, and the work will follow them. They will live. The employees will live where they want to live. That's the new reality for a lot of businesses today, and the businesses follow them. They follow their employees. So if we make Penticton a great, vibrant, thriving place to live, a place where people are happy to live, where there's outdoor recreational facilities, it's a cool place, there's a vibe, going, then the companies will follow. I can speak to that more later on or tomorrow if you want to drop by. But I've got examples of that, real life examples of how companies are following their employees. So making Penticton a vibrant place to live is economic development. As a council, we're committed to action. If we don't want our council priorities to gather dust, then we must acknowledge that we can't do it alone. So that means being a council of action and advocacy, which is why at the end of the month, a delegation from the City of Penticton is going to Victoria. We're a new mayor and council. They have a new premier. We have things to discuss and common ground to find. So we're going to tell the ministers why we need a CAR 40 type program in Penticton, why we need proper services from those suffering from mental health and addiction issues, i.e. complex care, and why Penticton can be a partner in innovation when it comes to housing. And we really need to do that. We really need to go to Victoria and sit in front of the people in power, the people with the purse strings. If you're not in front of the people with the purse strings, we're not doing our job well. Penticton, we know it, we love it, it's a great place. But Penticton is actually less than 1% of the population of BC. And so we have to make sure that this less than 1% has a big voice and gets heard and gets the attention of the people in power, because they got 99% other to think about as well. So we've got to be in their face, basically, in a nice way. We're going with a pot of honey, not a pot of vinegar. But it's about building relationships. That's, I think in my view and in Council's view, that is the direction we want to go in. We're working on building regional relationships as well. I've had meetings with the mayors of the 4 major cities in the Okanagan Valley. That's Penticton, West Kelowna, Kelowna, and Vernon. And we've had a really good initial meeting. There's 2 new mayors, 2 old mayors, and I think that there's a definite common goal to advocate for the same services that we need in Penticton, they need in Kelowna, they need in Vernon. West Kelowna not so much, but they are definitely on side with helping us achieve our goals, because they understand that in order for West Kelowna to be vibrant, they need the other cities in the Okanagan to be vibrant. So we are going to continue with that relationship. We're going to work towards building a common advocacy group to go to Victoria and make sure that the Okanagan is spotlighted as well. And it's also about working with the regional district and improving our relationship with the regional district and building on that. It's about saying, yes, you know, we are the major centre in the South Okanagan. We have the issues that our issues that we have in Penticton, they're really regional issues, but they're focused in Penticton. And so we need the regional district to acknowledge that, which the directors, you know, in conversations I've had extremely good conversations with the other directors in the regional district, and they've been very supportive. And so I'm looking forward to building a much better relationship with the regional district in the future. So the more we talk to different people around us, different areas around us, different mayors, different ministers, the better ideas we're going to get. You know, you get good ideas out of conversation. You know, you get bad ideas about dwelling on it yourself and tapping out on social media. So, yeah, we're going to be touting and promoting at local government meetings. We're going to go to Vancouver to talk on housing. Another trip we're going to is a housing symposium and a housing forum in Vancouver to be put on by UBCM. So next month, several members of council will be going to that, which is completely focused. It's 2 days of complete hard workshop, completely focused on housing issues and answers to the housing issues. And as I said before, housing is the one thing you have to get right, because if you get it wrong, it takes decades to put right. So we want to make sure that we get the housing questions answered with the best possible plan that we can. And in order to do that, we need to educate ourselves and attend these forums that are focused purely on housing. And I think to show the importance of housing generally across BC, this forum is being put on by UBCM, and there are, I think, around 500 registrants so far. So it's going to be big, but yeah, it's needed. So next year, when we do this again, hopefully, I want to be able to list our accomplishments and also details of what our next goals will be and how we're going to get there. It won't be easy. We're not going to flip a switch and get everything figured out. I'd like to think that, but that doesn't happen. And there'll be times when we disagree. There'll be times when council will make a decision and you'll be going, what was that all about? And, you know, but be assured that we've got 7 engaged individuals discussing, debating, contemplating all of these issues and coming up with the best answers that represent the diversity of the city of Penticton. And we need to see how you can help as well. There are ways for you to get involved. We're looking for around 40 people to serve on two committees and 2 new task forces. And there will be more task forces to come. We're switching away from having a lot of committees. We are focusing more on task forces which are goal-oriented, time-sensitive, and results-driven. And so we'll be starting task forces at various times through our tenure, rather than having committees that just sort of receive reports and file. And that's where you can help. We need good, engaged people on those task forces and committees. So throw your name in and help us to enact the change that you want. It's going to be challenges, going to be bumps, but make sure that your voice is a part of the debate. Thank you.